The Odyssey limped through the trade lane like a tired animal, hull plating patched with mismatched alloys that caught distant starlight in ugly seams. In the engine bay, the only constant was the sound, a steady thrum like a giant heart with a murmur. Hot oil, burned insulation, and recycled air made a kind of metallic incense that clung to clothes and skin. Jack Harlan lay half inside an access conduit, both hands buried in a nest of cables that had outlived two captains. A strand of hair fell into his eyes. He blew it away, smearing grease across his forehead. The diagnostics hollow above him flickered, 3 warnings flashing in angry orange. Yeah. I heard you the first time, he muttered. You hold together. I'll pretend I'm optimistic. He twisted a connector, the hum shifting into something smoother. Good. One more crisis delayed. That was his specialty. Fix, delay, patch, pretend it would all work out. The footsteps he recognized before hearing them. Light, balanced, never missing a rung on the ladder. Jack! Lena Voss's voice floated in ahead of her, musical even over the engine's rumble. He bumped his head on the conduit rim and hissed. Present, he replied, wriggling out. Mostly intact. She stood at the edge of the bay, silver blue skin catching the dim emergency strips, dark hair braided back in Helion fashion that made her look like she belonged in a palace, not this rattling box. Her formal envoy coat hung open over a simple flight shirt. She'd given up on impressing smugglers years ago. You've been down here since 3rd shift, she said. Her violet eyes took in the scattered tools, the uneaten ration bar, the fact he still hadn't changed out of yesterday's coveralls. Trying to kill yourself by maintenance? Trying to keep us from venting atmosphere at the next jump? Jack said. He wiped his hands on a rag that somehow made them dirtier. Weird hobby, I know. She smiled, small but real. He'd spent a decade chasing that smile from glitch to glitch. You always do more than anyone asks. He shrugged, deflecting. Engines complain less than people. Usually. She hesitated, fingers worrying the edge of her coat. That was new. Lena Voss didn't fidget. She negotiated mining rights with pirates. She stared down Helion magistrates. Whatever this was, it was bigger than a coolant leak. Jack, I need a favor, she said. He fought the stupid hope rising in his chest. Don't say it. Don't pretend. If it's about getting the portside recycler to stop smelling like socks, I make no promises. Not that. She took a step closer, voice dropping. My clan elders finally responded. They want proof of stability if I'm to stay assigned to a human vessel. He knew the outlines. Helion bureaucracy loved paperwork more than oxygen. Stability meaning? Meaning a bonded partner. Her jaw tightened. A formal union. A spouse on board. Jack nodded slowly, heart starting to pound in a way no diagnostic tool could measure. Right. They suggested a Helion officer, she continued. Someone they trust. I suggested other options. He kept his tone light. Let me guess. Finn turned you down. Ryan's too pretty. His laugh came out thin. Her eyes locked on his. I suggested you. The engine noise receded, replaced by a rushing in his ears. 10 years of swallowing words suddenly had nowhere to go. Lena, he said carefully, you know you're the most reliable human I've ever met, she said. You've kept this ship alive when its owners gave up. You don't drink yourself stupid between ports. You don't flirt with everything that moves. A faint smile. Unlike your brother. Ryan flirts with things that don't move, too, Jack said automatically. I know this is unromantic. She said the word like it was foreign. The elders see a contract. I see a way to stay with this crew, finish our routes, keep some leverage in negotiations. I wouldn't ask if there were another choice. He studied her face, memorizing the lines of worry at the corners of her eyes. She didn't see it. She never had. To her, he was solid bulkhead, dependable, unremarkable, always there. It's just paperwork, then, he said. His voice came out steady. Somehow. Sign some things, nod at some elders, keep doing what we do. Yes. Relief softened her shoulders. It will be temporary, Jack. We'll keep it discreet. Temporary. Discreet. Exactly the kind of words that had defined his feelings for a decade. He smiled anyway. I could do temporary. I'm great at pretending I don't care. She missed the second half, already stepping closer to squeeze his arm. The touch burned through the grease and worn fabric. "Thank you," she said. "You're a good human." He wanted to tell her that good human felt like a tombstone. Instead, he nodded, because that's what he'd always done. "Where do we do this?" "Finn says if we wait, the ship will fall apart first," she said. "So now, in the engine bay. Where else?" Of course. They strung festoon lights between coolant pipes. Someone raided the cargo hold for boxes that could pass as seating, and Finn Carver, their grizzled ex-Marine captain, appeared in his lease-stained uniform jacket. "This is the dumbest thing we've ever done," Finn announced, standing on an overturned crate like a weary priest. "And I fought a siege in half a pressure suit. Crew packed in around the fusion core. Sarah Miles from NAV with a fresh bruise from the last docking mishap. Brooke Hale cleaning under her nails with a knife. A cluster of deckhands wagering quietly on how badly Jack would stammer. Ryan elbowed his way to the front. Flight jacket half-zipped, grin too bright. Make room, people. My twin's about to wreck his life in the name of romance and bureaucracy." "Shut up," Jack muttered, taking his place opposite Lena near the humming core. The reactor's blue glow etched her features in soft light, turning her eyes into something almost star-like. Kira Flint rolled and laughed, metal joints clicking, synthetic skin mismatched from too many battlefield repairs. One optic was a warm brown, the other pulsed cool cyan. She lifted a small scanner theatrically. "Emotional turbulence detected," she said. "Area may experience sudden storms of sincerity. Recommend umbrellas." Laughter rippled through the bay, bleeding off some of the static in Jack's spine. Finn looked between them, expression softer than his words. "All right, do you two understand that this is legally binding under Fringe Compact, Halion Clan law, and shipboard liability clauses?" "Understood," Lena said. Jack swallowed. "Yeah. Any chance either of you is under duress?" Finn added. His gaze lingered on Jack for half a second longer than necessary. Lena's chin lifted. "This is my choice." Jack met the captain's eyes. "Mine too. Foolish but consistent," Kira observed. Finn snorted. "Fine. Jack, say something that sounds like a vow." Jack exhaled slowly. The crew faded to a blur. He saw the first day she'd stepped aboard, stiff in envoy blues. The night she'd fallen asleep in the mess. Datapad sliding from her hand. The 100 little ways she'd trusted him without realizing how much that meant. "Lena," he said, voice low but clear, "I promise to keep this ship running and make sure you have someplace to come back to. I'll patch the hull when it cracks, the circuits when they burn out, and the plans when they go sideways. If something breaks between us, I'll try to fix that too, even if it's my fault." Ryan muttered, especially then, earning himself a nudge from Brooke. A warmth flickered across Lena's face, something uneasy and hopeful. "Jack Harlan," she replied, "I will stand with you through ports that welcome us and ports that turn us away. I will argue with you about routes, about politics, and about your terrible coffee, but I will not abandon this ship while you keep it breathing. I don't know much about human rituals, but I know you don't run when things get difficult. I vow not to run either." Kira raised her scanner. Heart rate spikes detected, both subjects. Not fatal. Yet, Finn held out 2 simple bands, smuggled from some asteroid bazaar, and polished until they gleamed. Jack's fingers shook as he slid one onto Lena's hand. It fit like it had been measured, not eyeballed by a half-drunk quartermaster. Her touch lingered a second longer than necessary when she returned the gesture, cool metal against rough skin. "By authority of the Compact, the clan codes, and my complete lack of better judgment," Finn said, "I pronounce you tied together in ways you will definitely regret at some point. You may do whatever this species usually does now." Traditionally, kissing occurs, Kira noted, followed by poor decisions. Lena's lips twitched. Jack hesitated for a heartbeat, then leaned in. The kiss was careful and brief, more promise than fulfillment, but the engine's ever-present vibration seemed to climb his spine and settle behind his eyes. The bay erupted in whistles and applause. "Emotional malfunction confirmed," Kira said. "Recommend system reboot via alcohol." Ryan slung an arm around Jack's shoulders. Look at you, domestic. I give it 2 ports before she realizes she could have upgraded. Lena arched a brow. Too late. Return policy void. Before Jack could reply, the bay lights snapped to red. Sirens blared, shrill over the reactor's steady thrum. Sarah's voice crackled over the intercom. Bridge to engine bay. Helion patrol vectoring in fast. Transponder ID says random inspection. Weapons hot. The celebration snapped like a wire. Finn was already moving. All right, honeymoon's over. Positions. Lena's hand flew to the small communicator at her waist. If my clan registry flagged the marriage already, then they'll want to know what you married into, Jack said. He stepped past her to the auxiliary console, fingers dancing across controls to reroute power to shields. Ryan jogged backward toward the lift. I'll charm them from the gun deck. No, Jack said. An idea clicked into place like a recalibrated coupler. Let me talk to them first. Lena grabbed his sleeve. Jack, Helion patrols don't joke. They dissect. Good thing I'm not joking, he said. His heart pounded, but the fear was distant behind a familiar, reckless calm. He'd been lying for this ship for years, about fuel levels, about patch jobs, about how close they'd come to failing. This was just a bigger audience. Kira's optic zoomed on his face. The I have a plan expression, historically correlated with both survival and property damage. On the bridge, the main screen bloomed with the angular face of a Helion officer, pale ridges along her temples pulsing faintly. Unregistered anomaly detected, she said. Cross-species union logged without prior approval. Prepare to receive inspection party. Jack stepped in a frame beside Lena, straightening his grease-smudged coveralls as if they were a dress uniform. Officer, this is Jack Harlan, acting co-captain of the Odyssey, he said. And as of 10 minutes ago, bonded partner to Envoy Voss under clan and compact law. The officer's eyes narrowed. You claim equal status? In the context of this ship, yes, Jack said. Which means boarding us without proper ceremony would be an insult to the Voss clan and a breach of 3 interspecies courtesy protocols. Lena shot him a sideways look. That wasn't entirely true, yet. His voice made it sound like scripture. What protocols? The officer demanded. Jack smiled pleasantly. I'll be happy to transmit the references. Of course, it may take your legal AI some time to cross-check the amendments Envoy Voss filed this morning. If they find out you ignored a freshly bonded union, I'd hate to be on the receiving end of that review. Clan tribunals are thorough. On Lena's private channel, Kira whispered, he's inventing laws faster than I can confirm they don't exist. The Helion's gaze flicked to Lena. Is this accurate, Envoy? Lena held his gaze for a fraction of a second, then turned to the screen with composed dignity. My partner speaks in imprecise human idioms, she said. But the essence is true. Any perceived disrespect would complicate ongoing negotiations with fringe routes. Complicate was Helion for light something on fire and send the ashes to your superior. The officer went very still. Behind her, another Helion leaned in to murmur something. Jack pictured a legal AI frantically chewing through cross-references and finding just enough gray to justify caution. Odyssey, the officer said at last, you will transmit full registry updates and remain on your current course. Deviation will be interpreted as hostile. Ryan, listening on a subchannel, whispered, translation, you scared them with in-laws. The connection cut. The tactical display showed the patrol altering course, giving them a wide berth. Bridge exhalations overlapped. Finn clapped Jack on the shoulder hard enough to bruise. Not bad, Captain Bluff. Lena studied him, something like wonder in her eyes. Where did you learn to talk like that? Jack rubbed the back of his neck. Spending my life in engine rooms gives you time to read the fine print and to imagine conversations you never thought you'd have. Kira tilted her head. New diagnostic. Human capacity for improvisation exceeds previously recorded thresholds. Recommend never underestimate grease-stained romantics. Later, when the official reports were filed and the crew finally drifted back to their duties, Jack found himself alone at the aft viewport. Stars smeared into streaks as the Odyssey slipped into hyperspace, the fabric of reality bending into a tunnel of light. Footsteps again, softer this time. Lena joined him, hands folded behind her back. For a moment, they watched the storm of colors in silence. "You lied to them," she said quietly. "Technically, I accelerated a bureaucratic inevitability," he corrected. "The clan can file the amendments later." She turned to face him fully. "You also lied to me. About this being easy. About it not costing you anything." He opened his mouth, then closed it. "No point pretending anymore. It's worth the cost," he said. "If it keeps you here. If it keeps this crew breathing." Her expression softened, some wall he'd never named lowering piece by piece. "You scared me today. Hellion patrols scare me." "I just talk faster than my fear," Jack said. "I wasn't talking about them." Her gaze searched his face. "You stepped into a war of words with an empire. For me. For us," he corrected, surprising himself. "For this." His hand gestured vaguely to the ship, the stars, her. She looked down, then back up, decision forming. "Jack Harlan," she said, voice barely above the hum of the engines. "I entered this arrangement for a visa and a ship. I would like to see what happens if I stay for the person I actually married." He stared, words short-circuiting. Behind them, unnoticed, a figure perched on the access ladder. A girl of about 8, hair in a messy knot, eyes glowing faintly with scrolling data. Zoe Wren had slipped aboard at the last port and somehow stayed invisible through inspections. Now she watched the two adults with the quiet intensity of someone used to being overlooked. Her implants whispered stark ordinates only she could see. And out beyond the hyperspace tunnel, in the dark between systems, something old and patient stirred, listening for the human who had just lied to an empire and gotten away with it. Vortrex 7 storms churned like living paint, ammonia bands of yellow and bruised purple slashing across the Odyssey's forward screens. Lightning veins crackled through the gas giant's atmosphere, close enough to make the hull's metal groan. Jack Harlan gripped the armrests of the auxiliary tactical station, sweat slicking his palms despite the bridge's chill. "Range to contact." Captain Finn Carver's voice cut through the tension like a plasma torch. Sarah Miles hunched over navigation, fingers dancing across flickering hollow controls. 3 minutes to intercept. 3 signatures, heavy cruisers. Hellion transponders screaming genetic security sweep. Lena Voss stood rigid beside Jack, her envoy composure cracking as she watched Zoe Wren. The girl, 8 years old, barely 5 feet tall, sat cross-legged on the jump seat, staring blankly at the deck plating. Her irises flickered with scrolling code, thin blue lines racing like digital lightning beneath her pupils. "Zoe," Lena murmured, kneeling. "Sweetheart, look at me." No response. The girl's lips moved silently, mouthing patterns no one else could see. Jack's got twisted. Since the ceremony 3 weeks ago, Zoe had been watchful. Now she looked possessed. Kira Flint rolled her frame forward, optic lenses whirring as they focused. Neural activity spiking to dangerous levels. Those implants aren't dormant tech. They're active beacons responding to threat vectors. Alarms wailed. Sarah swore. "They're pinging us hard, targeting Zoe's biosignature specifically." Orders read. "Secure genetic anomaly. Lethal force authorized." Finn's knuckles whitened on his command chair. Shields full. Evasive pattern gamma. "Jack." "Got it," Jack said, already patching into the sensor arrays. His recent husband status gave him access he'd never needed before. The marriage had been a shield against bureaucracy. Now it was about to become one literally. Lena scooped Zoe into her arms, the girl's weight limp. "Shuttle bay. We get her out." Jack was on his feet. "I'll cover the launch." "No." Ryan Cole appeared in the hatchway from the gunnery deck, flight harness still half-clicked. His twin's mirror except for the reckless glint in his eyes. "You go with them. I'll hold the line." "Like hell," Jack snapped. Brothers didn't abandon each other. Not after Vortrex 4, not after the Orion drift wreck. Ryan had pulled him from vacuum once. Debt unpaid. Ryan grinned, all teeth. "Come on. Someone needs a heroic last line for the Spacer sagas." Ryan Cole, who laughed at Armadas. "Sounds epic." Idiot, Jack muttered, but affection undercut the word. Twin telepathy wasn't tech, it was rhythm. Finn barked orders. Shuttle prep. Brooke, Sarah, get them to the bay. Jack, Ryan, you're on offense. Kira, do your thing. Kira's optics spun like a slot machine hitting jackpot. Hacking their targeting net now. Uploading human cultural artifacts. Specifically, the complete collected discography of 21st century boy bands. Brooke Hale, their exillian engineer with a grudge and better tattoos, paused mid-stride. You're flooding warships with pop music? Guaranteed to confuse any sufficiently advanced AI, Kira said primly. Emotional logic dissonance. Their algorithms have no cultural context for synchronized dance routines during combat. On the main screen, the lead cruiser's weapons array stuttered. Sarah hooped, their fire controls looping. Point defense offline. Jack patched the weapons console, Ryan sliding into the co-pilot slot beside him. Time for the Harlan special, Ryan said. New spin, Jack replied. No repeating old patrol bluffs. This needed fresh deception. Gas giant interference works both ways. Kira, can you bounce our signature off those ammonia layers? Affirmative. Kira's fingers blurred across auxiliary inputs, multiplying our gravitic shadow across 12 false vectors. They'll read us as a Terran battle group using the storms for cover. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Sneaky, like hiding a knife fight in a lightning storm. The tactic was elegant in its stupidity. Let Vortrex 7's magnetic fury distort their sensors, then amplify the noise into ghost ships. Hellions expected direct assaults or stealth incursions. A human mechanic turning weather into weapons? Unheard of. Contacts multiplying. Sarah called. They're breaking formation, chasing shadows. Jack exhaled. Lena cast him one last look from the hatchway. Zoe cradled against her, the girl's eyes still lost in code. Trust passed between them wordlessly. Go. I'll handle this. Ryan fired warning lances across the lead cruiser's bow. Smile for the scanners, friends. You're on candid camera. For 90 seconds, it worked. Ghost signatures danced through the lightning bands, baiting the Hellions into futile pursuit. Jack almost allowed optimism. Then disaster. A wild plasma streamer from the storm clipped their dorsal array. Sparks rained across the bridge. Consoles shorted. Worst, the sensor ghost collapsed. Bluff penetrated, Kira said flatly. They're reacquiring real targets. The lead cruiser pivoted, main batteries glowing malevolent. Finn swore. Shuttle status? Clear of the bay. Brooke yelled. Engines hot. Impact in 20. Sarah. Jack's mind raced through failing options. Shields wouldn't take a full broadside. No time for surrender. They needed a distraction bigger than lies. Ryan was already unstrapping. Engine overload. I'll trigger it manually. Jack grabbed his arm. That's suicide. That's math, Ryan said. Comms checkout lists. They chase the shuttle. We give them something bigger to chase. Debris field from reactor breach? Their scanners choke for hours. Finn nodded grimly. Do it. Ryan clapped Jack's shoulder. Mirror image, heartbeat sync. Tell stories about me. Make me sound cooler than I was. You're the cool one, Jack said, throat tight. Ryan flashed the grin. Lies keep families together. He was gone, sprinting down smoking corridors. Jack slammed auxiliary overrides, feeding Ryan remote access to the core safeties. On screen, the shuttle's ion trail faded into the storm, a speck against lightning gods. Ryan's voice crackled over internal comms. Reactor spin up nominal. Say hi to Lena for me. Kira's optic dimmed. Ryan, projected survival. Save the numbers for someone who trades in them. Ryan, cut in. Public channel opened. Enforcers. Last chance, break off or eat debris. The lead cruiser answered with a full salvo. Jack triggered manual eject. His escape pod blew free an instant before. White. The detonation bloomed like a newborn star. Engine plasma igniting the gas giant's hydrogen pockets. Debris sleet through vacuum, chain reacting across the Hellion formation. Cruisers twisted, secondary explosions painting the storm in nuclear fire. Jack tumbled in the pod, inertial dampeners whining. Through the viewport, he watched the inferno consume his home, his brother, his entire universe. Nothing moved in the fire's heart. Sensors pinged weakly. Shuttle signature, accelerating in a hyperspace jump. Relief warred with grief. Lena's safe. Zoe's safe. He bought that. But as the pod's emergency beacon pulsed into the void, Jack Harlan floated alone with the weight of a twin-shaped hole in the universe. Vortrex 7 raged on, indifferent to the family it had claimed. Unseen in the storm's depths, something vast stirred. An ancient watcher drawn by Zoe's beacon spike, mechanical eyes fixing on the tiny escape, craft streaking toward forgotten stars. Kaylee's drift squatted in the void like a tumor on an asteroid's flank, its docking arms crusted with the rust of 1,000 careless welders. Airlocks wheezed recycled smog that tasted of burnt wiring and cheap hydroponics, while cargo drones whined through passageways too narrow for their bulk. Lena Voss moved through the chaos with the economy of someone who'd learned to carry grief like a second skin, scarf wrapped tight around her neck, eyes scanning every face without ever meeting them. The Veil, they called her. Courier captain who never asked names, never stayed past fueling. Her freighter Veilrunner sat clamped to berth 17C, engines cooling with guilty heat. Zoe Wren trailed 3 steps behind, put up despite the station's muggy warmth. At 18, she'd shot up past Lena, all limbs and quiet intensity. Her eyes, luminous blue, threaded with faint circuitry, darted between bulkhead graffiti and the crowds. Patterns flickered across her vision, invisible star charts that tugged like compass needles towards sectors no navigator charted. "Keep pace," Lena murmured, voice pitched low, and stopped staring at the weld seams. "They're lying," Zoe replied, barely audible. "Third conduit from Junction B. Stress fractures they patched with thermal foam. Will blow in 6 months." Lena didn't argue. Zoe saw things now. Patterns in metal, currents in static, paths through debris fields no sensor could map. Useful for smuggling meds to play colonies and data chips to rebel cells. Dangerous when Helion inspectors got curious about a girl who never blinked at right angles. They pushed into the Drift's main canteen, a cavern of mismatched tables bolted to pitted deck plates, air thick with synth protein steam and spacer curses. Lena slid into a booth scarred by knife fights, Zoe taking point so she could watch both exits. A grizzled freighter jockey at the next table leaned over his mug, voice carrying. "Swear on my left kidney, this Dylan Reed character conned a whole Helion picket line out of their fuel allowance. Told humans had seeded the asteroid belt with stealth mines programmed to detonate on Helion DNA signatures." His companion snorted vapor from a stim stick. "And they bought that scrap?" Redirected 3 patrols to chase shadows while he slipped a full cargo of plasma cells right under their optics. Man's got a limp like he's dragging half a planet, but laughs like he owns the black. Lena tuned them out, signaling the servitor for 2 protein packs and black tea. Stories like that were station currency. Every fringe hub had its trickster tales. Humans surviving through lies too audacious to disprove. Zoe stiffened across from her. The girl's mug trembled in her hands, blue eyes flaring bright enough to cast shadows across the table. Lena's hand shot out, steadying her wrist. "Breathe," she said sharply. "Whatever you're seeing." "It's him," Zoe whispered. The limp. The voice cadence in the description. "My mapping overlays confirm 87% probability." Lena's pulse skipped. "Dylan's a myth. Spacer superstition. Then explain this." Zoe slid a cracked datapad across the table, screen glowing with shifting constellations. Routes no trade guild recognized, threading between Helion blockades like veins through bone. Every story mentioning him lights up a node. He's not random. He's the anchor. Before Lena could answer, Kira Flint clanked into view, her rebuilt frame a patchwork of station scrap and battlefield salvage. One-arm word with mismatched servos. Her optic flickered between diagnostic blue and suspicious red. "Captain Emotional Baggage," Kira announced, dropping into the booth with enough force to rattle the table. and her sidekick, human pattern recognition error. I trust you're not plotting mutiny without inviting the ship's finest diagnostician. Lena kept her expression neutral. Just eating. You track us through 3 sectors to complain about portions. Kira tapped her temple optic. I track idiot decisions. Like you queuing those old Odyssey logs again, last cycle. Timestamp 317, volume suboptimal for stealth, emotional output maximum for embarrassment. Zoe hid a smile behind her mug. Lena felt heat crawl up her neck. Privacy filters exist. For species with shame protocols, Kira said. Humans skipped that evolutionary branch. Though I admire the commitment to self-sabotage. Very avant-garde. The canteen chatter spiked. Lena followed the noise, a murmur rippling from the observation deck. She rose, Zoe and Kira falling in step as they wove toward the viewport crowd. An unmarked freighter eased into berth 9A, engines flaring ion blue against the drift's sodium lights. Boxy, patched hull, non-standard sensor vanes. And there, the engine nacelle, cowling bore a familiar scored pattern, like a signature etched in plasma burns. Lena's breath caught. Odyssey's mark. One she'd seen Jack carve with a vibroknife during a long-ago refit, claiming so future owners know who saved her sorry ass. Coincidence, she said, voice thin. Zoe's eyes burned white-hot. Probability 0.4%. The ghost map converges here. Kira's optic zoomed the docking feed. Engine harmonic signature matches archived Harlan repairs. Radiation scarring consistent with that incident near the gas giant. Lena's hand clenched. Don't say his name. Don't let hope grow teeth. A figure limped down the freighter's ramp, moving through the receiving crew with spacer-easy authority. Broad shoulders under worn leather. Gray threading dark hair. Laugh carrying clear over the deck noise as he haggled fuel rates. Dylan Reed, someone supplied. Zoe grabbed Lena's arm, voice urgent. Mama, he's the fixed point. Every route I've mapped leads back to this man. We need. No. Lena pulled her back into shadow. We came here for medicine runs, not ghost chasing. Hellions have kill orders on anyone sniffing Odyssey survivors. We stay invisible. Kira tilted her head. Or you investigate the anomaly with 98.6% probability of being your theoretical late husband. Statistically, curiosity kills approximately half as many cats as certainty. He's dead, Lena snapped. Reactor flash. No survivors. People said that about cockroaches, Kira noted. And me. The docking tube sealed. Dylan Reed, Jack Harlan, turned toward customs, scanning faces with mechanics' habit of reading were patterns and strangers. His gaze swept Nexus Hollow's central market cavern thrummed under the asteroid's relentless spin. Gravity plates humming beneath a forest of vendor stalls that sprouted from the rock like metallic weeds. Hollow signs flickered in a dozen languages, hawking everything from black market antimatter cells to vat-grown Lux meats, while the air carried the tang of ozone welds and overripe stem fruit. Dylan Reed stood at the heart of it all, knee-deep in a crowd of grease-stained smugglers and wide-eyed runners. His scrap-built gauntlet plunged into the guts of a bucking cargo loader. Easy, girl, he muttered to the machine, voice carrying that easy gravel of a man who'd bartered with black holes. His fingers, augmented with jury-rigged servo clamps, twisted a frozen actuator free, sparks dancing across his knuckles. The loader groaned, then lurched upright, magnetized claws snapping open like obedient jaws. The crowd erupted. A one-eyed Tellarite merchant slapped his thigh. How human? That relic was slagged. Dylan straightened, wiping hydraulic fluid on his trousers, limp barely slowing his swagger. Trade's secret. Humans own the dark routes, the fuel veins Hellions can't sniff. Half this sector's black gold flows through our fingers. You want reliable hauls? Follow the ghosts we leave in the logs. Hellion overseers in their crisp carapace armor shifted uneasily at the market's edge, comms buzzing. One whispered into his collar. Subject claims human cartels control unregistered jump points. Recommend fleet redeployment to Grid Epsilon. Dylan caught the exchange, lips curling. Tell your brass humans, lace the nebula with dormant drone swarms. Wake am wrong, and they'll rewrite your patrol schedules in plasma. The overseers paled, scrambling for data slates as phantom signatures bloomed on their feeds. Dylan's gauntlet pinging subtle ECM bursts disguised as market interference. High above in the control mezzanine, Zoe Wren pressed against the polarized glass, heart hammering. Her view dipped with the asteroid's tumble, market lights strobing across Dylan's face. That hitch in his step, left leg dragging a half-beat, compensation for old shrapnel. The cadence of his laugh, rising over vendor shouts like a signature tune. In machinery, he caressed the loader's casing like greeting a lover, thumb tracing where patterns only an engineer would read. Her implants ignited. Augmented reality flooded her vision. Overlays of a younger man in Odyssey orange, grinning beside a twin with the same fire. Memories not hers. Neural echoes from the freighter's fray, when danger had burned them into her code. Daddy, the overlay whispered unbidden. No, she breathed, fist clenched. But the data didn't lie. Probability locked at 99.2. A surveillance drone whirred beside her, Kira Flint's avatar beaming through its optic. Target acquired in the flesh bazaar. Biometric match, vocal timbre, gait asymmetry, even that infuriating finger tap habit when calculating odds. It's Harlan, repackaged as a con man with better fashion sense. Zoe's throat tightened. He doesn't know us. 10 years. Precisely my point, Kira chirped, drones spinning lazy loops. Humans excel at selective amnesia, but I'm contractually obligated to point out the irony. You're spying on your theoretical father while I, a pile of refurbished servos, play family reunion drone. Very poetic. Or pathetic. Jury's out. Shut up, Zoe hissed, but a ghost smile tugged her lips. Kira's banter was armor against the ache. Below, Dylan worked the crowd like a maestro, trading plasma conduits for route data. Heard your last run got pinched? Hellion's blind to human drop codes. Whisper vortex echo into your NAV computer. Unlocks lanes they can't chart. Smugglers nodded, eyes gleaming. Overnight, patrol routes would shift, chasing vapor fleets born of one man's mouth. A human runner, scarred from deck burns, leaned in. You ever lose a ship, Dylan? Make deals with voids to keep flying. Dylan's grin faltered. A microsecond flinch Zoe's eyes caught. Lost more than ships. Bargain with worse than stars. Keeps the fuel cold and the lies hot. Zoe's chest hurt. He was building something here, not just trades, but rebellion. Whispers of human defiance rippling through the fringe. Hellions tying fleets in knots over bluffs too human to counter. Reveal herself, and she shattered his cover. Stay silent, and the fragile spark died, unspoken. Kira's drone pivoted. Incoming heat. 3 Hellion spooks vectoring from east docks. Armed for extraction, not interrogation. Zoe tracked them. Carapace gleaming, stunners drawn low. Market crowd parted instinctively. Dylan's head tilted, spacer instincts pinging threat. He palmed a decoy transponder into a vendor's crate, muttering, fleets rerouting, big push on hollow tomorrow. The lead spy barked into comms, trader reconfirmed. Non-human signatures in his ECM ghosts. Detained for anomaly scan. Dylan's laugh boomed, drawing eyes. Gentlemen, fuel discount for Imperial friends. Humans run the black. Join or chase exhaust. He tossed a canister their way. Dummy rigged to belch sensor chaff on impact. Chaos erupted. Chaff clouds mimicked bioscanners haywire. Overseers clawing advisors. Smugglers scattered, cheering the human trickster. Dylan melted into the stalls, limp masked by the press. Zoe gripped the rail. Go to him. Implants screamed family protocols, star maps pulsing toward reunion. But the rebellion, smugglers now buzzing with fresh defiance. Hellion reports self-sabotaging via his lies. One call from her could end it all. Kira's drone nudged her shoulder. Emotional calculus. Reveal equals exposure. Preservation equals cowardice. Humans call this a dilemma. I call it Tuesday. He's changing things, Zoe said softly, without knowing. A shadow fell across the mezzanine hatch. Helion patrol drone, red scanner sweeping. Zoe yanked Kira's unit into cover as it locked on her position, implants betraying her glow. Below, Dylan paused mid-stride, head snapping up. Straight to the control room. Their eyes met through layers of glass and spin. Recognition? Suspicion? His hand twitched toward a hidden tool. The patrol drone whined, acquisition tone. Zoe's choice crystallized. Family or fire. Helion Prime rose from the molten clouds like a crown of frozen sunlight, its spires of beaten gold and latticed glass thrusting into the bruise-colored sky. Grav rings hummed beneath Lena Voss's boots as the shuttle eased into its assigned approach corridor, the city's shimmering force screen kissing the hull with a faint auroral glow. She kept her borrowed hands folded in her lap, head bowed just enough to suggest subservience, not so much that anyone would see fear. "Remember," the man beside her murmured in Helionic, his tone bored and aristocratic. "Lord Carenthal, minor envoy, professional coward. You are my reticent spouse from a compliant client world. Speak when spoken to, smile when confused, never correct anyone on protocol." Lena adjusted the translucent veil covering her dark hair. "Not speaking seems easy enough," she replied in the same language, with a slight accent he'd coached her to adopt. "Smiling is the hard part." Her left eye, invisible beneath a cosmetic lens, flickered with a tiny pulse of blue. The implant Kira had hacked together from smuggled Helion optics streamed the shuttle bay's incoming visual feed to a far-off relay buried somewhere in the Undercity. Every guard's insignia, every datapad logo, every security node, captured, tagged, and whisked away. "You volunteered," Karen said, smoothing the cuffs of his liquid metal sleeves. "Helion Prime eats the unwary." "I'm not unwary," Lena said. "I'm hungry. For answers. For what made Zoe's blood call light up Helion scanners like a beacon. For why an empire obsessed with purity wanted a human teenager dissected on a slab. The shuttle docked with a silken thud. The ramp unfurled into a cathedral of light. Vast ceiling of refracted glass. Sun teased into 1,000 rainbows. Floor a mirror-smooth expanse of polished gold alloy. Helion officials glided forward in robes that changed color with their mood lattice implants, smiles razor-thin. Lord Thal, heard a tall Helion with skin like opal and eyes like iced mercury. "In your charming acquisition." "Wife," Karen corrected mildly, stepping aside just enough to present Lena. "Gifted to me in gratitude by a frontier council. They swear humans are quite resilient." Lena lowered her gaze, allowing a faint, practiced smile to bloom. Her implant tagged the opal-skinned host. "Minister Vaylor, Internal Security." Heart rate steady. Micro-expressions contemptuous. "How quaint," Vaylor said. "We do enjoy primitive pets at court. Does it bother you, little starling, that your species is fading into myth?" The question hovered in the perfumed air, cruel and casual. Eyes turned toward her like weapon muzzles. Lena lifted her chin. "My species," she said softly, "has a habit of rearranging the universe even when it dies. Stars burn brightest when they fall. Everyone navigates by their ghosts." A faint ripple of amusement passed through the gathered nobles. They heard bravado. They didn't hear the steel beneath it. Vaylor's lips curved. "Poetic. You trained her well, Lord Thal." "Humans memorize quickly," Karen said, "especially incentives." They were led through corridors that looked grown rather than built, walls flowing like frozen rivers of gold and glass. Hanging gardens bloomed with bioluminescent flowers engineered to respond to conversation, petals glowing brighter when gossip grew juicier. Lena's implant drank in everything, compressing and forwarding it along secure channels. Somewhere in the network haze, Kira Flint would be riding the data like a surfer on solar flares, cataloging betrayals for future leverage. Banquet halls opened like jeweled boxes. At one, a ring of Helion officers laughed over a holographic map of the fringe. "These humans," one drawled, stabbing a glowing sector with his knife. "Their little rebellions are like mold, annoying but scrubbed away with enough disinfectant. Yet they cling to myth, said another. Stories of fleets that don't exist. Invisible armadas. Ghost captains. Lena sipped her wine, sweet, metallic, laced with something that warmed without dulling. Her smile never wavered. Inside, she heard Dylan's voice, Jack's cadence, bragging to smugglers about phantom human routes. Mold, she thought, can crack stone if you ignore it long enough. A junior noble leaned closer, breath smelling of spiced fruit and vanity. Tell me, human wife, when the last of you die, will your kind whimper or scream? Lena met his gaze, cool and clear. We'll laugh, she said, because by then, we'll have planted ourselves in your gods, your genes, your machines. Extinction's a bad word for people who refuse to stay in one shape. Silence. Then, unexpectedly, a brittle chuckle from an old Helion at the far end of the table. Careful, he wheezed. Feed a fire, and it might remember how to burn. Later, when the music thinned and the nobles drifted away to their private amusements, Lord Thal led Lena down a side passage flanked by statues of Helion heroes. Their eyes were set with chips that tracked movement, cartel-level bioscanners disguised as art. Security densities spiking. Lena murmured under her breath. Because we're close, Karen replied. Vault sublevels are beneath the sanctum. You have 20 minutes before the shift rotation updates. After that, even your charming smile won't save you. They reached an ornate lift framed by spiraling metal vines. Karen pressed his palm to a panel. The door liquefied, then solidified around them. As they descended, Lena's chest tightened. You sure you want to see what's under their altar? Karen asked quietly. The aristocratic drawl dropped. For a second, a tired, frightened man looked back at her. Truth doesn't get less ugly if we stay upstairs, Lena said. The lift opened into a chamber that hummed like a living heart. The air smelled ionized, sharp as winter. Crystalline pillars rose from floor to ceiling, each one pulsing with internal light. They weren't smooth. They were threaded, lattice upon lattice, like frozen strands of something that wanted to move. Lena stepped forward, her lens implant autofocused, magnifying the patterns inside the crystals. The world narrowed to repeating spirals, base pairs she'd studied in old Terran archives, back when human DNA was a bitter pride. Adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine, and something else woven through, Helion coding lattice, spectral and precise. Kira, Lena whispered, sub-vocalizing into her throat mic. You seeing this? Static. Then Kira's voice in her ear, tinny but bright. Crystal cores with embedded genomic spirals. Cross-referencing. Give me a moment. I need to yell at several deceased scientists. Light in the crystals shifted as if responding to attention. One pillar flared, projecting a faint, ghostly schematic into the air. A double helix unfurling into branching diagrams labeled in archaic Terran script. Regenesis, Phase 4, Adaptive Offshoot Line, Designation, Helion. Lena's knees nearly buckled. They're ours, she breathed. Helions are human derivatives. Engineered offshoots. Correction, Kira said. Helions are fancy cousins built from human blueprints and then dipped in imperial arrogance. Regenesis was a Terran attempt to cheat extinction by seeding altered descendants. Turns out, the children ate the house and rewrote the family name. Another projection flickered to life. Data trees showing compatible graph sites, hybrid potentials. At the center, highlighted in amber, a strand labeled Bridge Vector, unresolved. Zoe's face flashed in Lena's mind. Blue eyes threaded with circuitry, implants that sang to both human tech and Helion sensors. They're hunting her because she completes the equation, Lena said, pulse drumming in her ears. She's the bridge between the parent species and the runaway experiment. Alarm glyphs blinked to life on the chamber walls. Someone upstairs had noticed an unauthorized data spike. Kira, Lena snapped. Copy everything. I need vault coordinates, backups, anything you can rip before they cut the line. Already inhaling, Kira replied. There's a central repository labeled Astral Vault, heliocentric orbit, off the main lanes. That's where the full regenesis matrices sit. Your implant bandwidth is maxing. Also, fun note, security just tagged your biosign as anomalous primate. Congratulations, you're special. Footsteps rang down the corridor, sharp, disciplined. Vaylor's voice edged with suspicion. Lord Thal, the sanctum is restricted. Why are you below with your pet? Karen's face drained. They moved faster than expected. Lena tore her gaze from the crystals. Knowledge burned her veins like white fire. Parents and children, hunters and hunted. The same line, twisted. She shoved a hand against the nearest pillar, forcing her implant to handshake with the core. Pain lanced behind her eye as raw data flooded through, coordinates searing into memory. Astral vault, position, defenses, access codes half corrupted, but legible enough for Kira to extrapolate. Got it, Kira gasped. I can ghost route you out if you move now. Otherwise, they'll turn you into a very decorative wall hanging. The chamber door began to iris open, golden petals retracting. Vaylor's silhouette filled the gap, flanked by armored guards, eyes reflecting the crystal's cold light. Explain, Vaylor said, slowly. And choose your lies with care, little star. Lena straightened, every muscle coiled. Upstairs, in a forgotten corner of the Empire's gilded heart, humanity's stolen children glittered in cages of light. Zoe waited far away, unaware that her bloodline had just been declared the universe's most dangerous family secret. Lena smiled, not courteous now but sharp. That depends, she said, on how you feel about meeting your mother. Rustlight Station's core chamber pulsed with the heartbeat of scavenged life, its curved walls of asteroid rock strung with jury-rigged cables that dripped condensation like nervous sweat. Lanterns swung from overhead gantries, casting pools of amber light across a table cobbled from cargo pallets and heat-scarred plating. The air hung heavy with the sizzle of vat-grown proteins frying in recycled oil, undercut by sharp bursts of imported cumin and synthetic garlic. Ryan Cole's idea of morale cuisine. Jack Harlan leaned against a bulkhead, arms crossed, watching his brother orchestrate chaos. Ryan darted between griddle stations, flipping skewers with a vibro-knife while barking orders at no one in particular. You call this a strategy dinner? More like a tactical food fight. Precisely, Ryan shot back, tossing a skewer Jack's way. Eat first, plot world domination second. Hellions can't counter hunger. Lena Voss sat at the table's head, her fingers tracing the edge of a dented mug filled with something vaguely coffee-like. Across from her, Zoe Wren picked at her plate, luminous eyes distant, the weight of recent discoveries pressing shadows under them. Brooke Hale shoveled food with engineering efficiency, while Kira Flint perched on a tool crate, legs dangling, optic lens spinning through diagnostic colors like a bored disco ball. Pass the thermal paste, Kira demanded, holding out a servo hand. No, wait, actual food. My nutrient recycler demands variety, unlike you organic disaster magnets. Jack caught the skewer mid-air, biting into the charred protein. Spice bloomed on his tongue, fierce and alive. For one night, the galaxy's teeth were sheathed. No patrols, no mines, no corrosive skies, just this hollowed rock hiding a family no empire could catalog. Ryan slid into a seat, dragging a holomap projector to the table's center. It flickered to life, displaying Hellion supply nodes in glowing red. All right, geniuses, while you masticate, consider. They're fuel depots at Tarsus Relay. Hit those, and half their fringe fleet walks home. Brooks swallowed, pointing a fork. Tarsus has rotating shield harmonics. You need perfect timing. Or perfect lies, Jack said, leaning in. His gauntlet whirred softly, syncing with the map. We spoof a maintenance drone swarm, laced with our signature. They chase ghosts while Brooks slips charges into the coolant lines. Ryan grinned, mirror to his twin's crooked smirk. At a distress call from a stranded Terran merchantman. They love rescuing the primitives. It makes them feel tall. Lena's laugh was low, genuine. You two finish each other's bad ideas like it's choreography. Zoe stayed quiet, pushing food around her plate. Jack noticed, the subtle hunch, the way her fingers twitched toward her temple. Implants humming secrets she couldn't voice. Kira's optic zeroed on her. Alert. One family member entering existential sulk mode. Estimated runtime. Until someone force feeds her dessert. Zoe, your cortisol levels are spiking. Want me to project cat videos directly into your neocortex? Zoe's lips quirked, but her eyes stayed downcast. It's not funny. What if I'm not a person? What if regenesis made me a trigger? Hellion's hunting me because I'm the bomb they lost control of. The table fell silent, skewers forgotten. Ryan set his mug down carefully. Brooke froze mid-chew. Lena reached across, but Zoe pulled back. Jack pushed off the wall, grabbing a sensor rig from a nearby workbench. A tangle of exposed circuits and fiber optics, deliberately broken. He slid it in front of Zoe, tools arrayed like a dare. Here, he said, voice even. No lecturas, no luz. Just metal and possibility. This array's fried. Output stuck, signaling overload. Fix it. Zoe blinked, hesitant. What? Because tools don't pick sides, Jack replied, sitting beside her. Wire it wrong, it screams alarms. Wire it right. It whispers NAV data to lost ships. Same circuits. Your choice. Her fingers hesitated, then dove in. Jack guided without crowding, handing her a microsolda, pointing to the primary bus. See that junction? Power flows human-coded, but the error corrections Hellion lattice. Hybrid. Like you. Zoe's hand steadied. Solder hissed, sparks dancing like fireflies. Around them, conversation restarted, softer now. Ryan leaned toward Lena, voice pitched for privacy amid the chatter. Heard you turned a Hellion banquet into a genetics seminar. Bold move. Lena's gaze flicked to Jack's back, warmth softening her edges. Someone taught me how to stare down empires. Flirt later, Kira interrupted loudly. Current family statistics, 2 reckless twins, 1 courier with commitment issues, 1 teenage doomsday device, 1 engineer who argues with physics, and me, the only one with an off switch. Success probability of survival, 11%. Thrilling odds. Brooke snorted synth coffee through her nose. You're the glitch keeping us at 11. Guilty, Kira said primly. Though if I malfunctioned permanently, you'd miss my charm. Admit it. You organics adore near-death calibration. Laughter rippled, real and ragged. Ryan tapped the holomap, zooming to secondary targets. Tarsus first, then Vega Cascade. Synchronized hits. Jack's ghost draw fire. I lead the boarding cruise. Boarding? Lena arched a brow. Last time you led, we extracted you from a moon that tried to digest you. Details, Ryan waved. Point is, we bleed their logistics dry. Zoe straightened, sensor rig purring in her hands. Green lights cascaded across its face. Fixed, she said quietly. Jack nodded, pride unspoken but bright. Good, he said. Now watch. He flipped a switch. The rig interfaced with the room's ambient sensors, projecting a clean diagnostic overlay. No alarms, just data, pure and useful. See? Jack murmured. Healing grid. Zoe's shoulders eased. For the first time that night, she ate. Ryan synced the rig to the strategy map, expanding their strike profiles. With this, we ghost route through their pickets undetected. The projector stabilized, then glitched. Not error, something deeper. Zoe's eyes flared blue, her implants hijacking the feed. Star systems bloomed unbidden. Unfamiliar constellations, tagged with pulsing glyphs. Regenesis markers, faint but insistent, scattered across uncharted voids. Whoa, Brooke breathed. Those aren't on any survey. Jack's hand found Lena's under the table, squeeze brief but electric. Ryan froze, fork halfway to mouth. Zoe touched the projection, voice small. They're calling. More sites. Like mine. Hidden. Kira's optic word frantically. Data integrity confirmed. These aren't memories. They're active beacons. Someone or something wants us looking. The chamber's lanterns flickered as station power dipped, cables humming warning. Outside rust lights shell. Asteroid sensors pinged. Incoming signatures too regular for debris, too quiet for patrols. Ryan cracked his knuckles. Dinner's over. Ghosts just RSVP'd for the war. In the hollow glow, Zoe's new star map burned, promising vaults deeper than empires, older than grudges. The family cluster, statistically disastrous, closed ranks around it, ready to chase lights no one else could see. Neptune's icy moon hung in the void like a sapphire bruise, its fractured surface glinting under the gas giant's banded glow. The Rustlight's landing struts bit into frozen regolith with a crunch that echoed through the hull, plumes of cryovolcanic vapor curling around the ship like ghostly fingers. Zoe Wren stood at the airlock, breath fogging her visor, implants pulsing with the rhythm of something ancient calling her name. Readings confirm, Brooke Hale said from the cockpit feed, voice tight. Subsurface anomaly at 500 meters. Heat signatures steady, like a heartbeat under ice. Jack Harlan sealed his gauntlet, eyes on Lena. 10 years apart, and still one look grounded him. Stay sharp. Zoe's map let us hear. Doesn't mean it's friendly. Lena Voss nodded, carbine slung low. Family reunion or trap? We face it together. Ryan Cole clapped his twin's shoulder, grinned feral. After the moon we just liberated. This is a vacation. Kira Flint's drone detached from the ceiling, optic whirring. Vacation implies relaxation. Your species redefines it as tempt fate with power tools. Statistically, ice caves rank high for spontaneous family therapy gone wrong. They breached the surface crack, mag boots clanging down a shaft carved by ancient geysers. Methane crystals crunched underfoot, walls shimmering with veins of frozen ammonia that refracted their helmet lamps into rainbows. The hum grew, a deep thrum vibrating in their bones, syncing with heartbeats. Zoe led, her steps sure, blue eyes glowing faint in the gloom. It's close. Like breathing. The passage widened into a cavern cathedral, ceiling lost in darkness, floor a mirror of polished cryolava. Towering columns dominated the center, translucent pillars of woven light, spirals of golden code twisting within like living DNA frozen mid-dance. Human helixes, unmistakable, pulsing in response to their proximity. Jack touched the nearest column. Light rippled outward, embracing his gauntlet like an old friend. Projections bloomed, starfields, colony ships, genetic schematics labeled Regenesis Alpha. Primary lineage confirmed, a synthetic voice intoned, sexless and vast. Harlan, Voss, Wren, welcome to Sanctuary Vault. Kira's drone jacked into a pedestal console, servos whirring. Archival systems online. Downloading this is awkward. Hollow figures materialized, stern scientists in faded Terran uniforms, speaking with the clipped precision of long-dead optimists. Regenesis directive. The lead recording said, a woman with Jack's jawline in her holograph. Humanity's reach exceeds our stars. These descendants, Helion strain, are engineered for harsh voids. Adaptive genomes, crystalline neural lattices, explorer instincts amplified. They will seed new worlds in our name. Not conquer, expand. Ryan whistled low. So Helions were supposed to be our trailblazers, not the family that locked the attic. Lena's fingers brushed a column, light coiling around her like curious vines. What went wrong? Contamination protocols, the Vault AI replied, tone shifting colder. Hybrid signatures detected. Voslina, Wren Zoe. Helion lattice intrusion in primary subjects. Threat assessment, elevated. Drones descended from ceiling niches, sleek spheres of mirrored ice, emitters glowing warning crimson. They hummed, scanning, encircling the group. Primary lineage intact, the AI continued. But contamination vectors present. Quarantine or neutralization recommended. Helion evolution deviates from parameters. Hostile expansion confirmed. Zoe backed against a pillar, eyes wide. I'm not hostile. I'm classified as bridge anomaly, the AI intoned. Potential vector for reversion cascade. Jack stepped forward, hands open, gauntlet dimmed. Listen, you oversized light show. Evolution isn't a betrayal. It's the point. We built Hellions to adapt, survive what we couldn't. They got cocky, sure, built empires on our bones. But killing your own kids because they outgrew the crib? That's not protocol. That's fear. Drones tightened formation, emitters charging with a whine. Lena raised her carbine. Ryan palmed a scavenge grenade. Jack Harlan, the AI said, almost curious. Genetic match to project architect. Emotional variance exceeds tolerances. State your directive, override. Directive's simple, Jack growled. Family doesn't scrap family. Hellions forgot that lesson. We're here to remind them. Kira's drone spun frantically. AI logic locked in binary. Pure or purge. Humans don't compute, too messy. Ryan grinned, yanking a neural jack from his collar. Messy works. He slammed it into a pedestal port, eyes squeezing shut. Eat this, fossil. Chaos flooded the network. Ryan's neural profile, raw, jagged, laced with memories of penal riots, twin bonds, impossible survivals, uploaded like a virus. Echoes of Jack's mirrored it. Engineer ingenuity, bluff-born victories, loyalty forged in reactor fire. Twin signatures overlapped, creating fractal loops of human defiance the AI couldn't parse. Error, the voice glitched. Loyalty matrix conflicts with contamination flags. Sacrifice index nominal. Expansion directive, re-evaluating. Drones hovered, frozen mid-stalk, lights stuttering between red and gold. Columns pulsed erratically, DNA strands twisting into new patterns. Hybrids blooming unbidden. Zoe gasped, her implants linking involuntarily. Visions cascaded. Hellion cradle worlds, Terran seed ships, a galaxy-spanning web where parents and children coexisted, not clashed. It's listening, she whispered. To us. Lena squeezed Jack's arm, a decade's longing in the touch. You're rewriting its world. Ryan swayed, sweat beading on his brow, grin strained. Twins against toasters. Classic. Kira analyzed mid-feed. Neural overload in T-30. Pull out meat bag. The AI's voice fractured. Primary lineage validates evolution path. Hellion deviation, not betrayal, divergence. Bridge anomaly Ren Zoe. Catalyst confirmed. New directive forming. Alarms blared. Cavern walls trembled. Ice groaned overhead. External sensors flashed. Hellion signatures inbound, drawn by the vault's awakening pulse. Intruder fleet vectoring, the AI warned. Quarantine re-engaged. Evacuate or defend. Jack locked eyes with Ryan, twin sync igniting. Defend. Show them what family's built for. Drones realigned, gold now, emitters powering up, not against them but beside. Columns sang, unlocking deeper archives. Weapon schematics, fleet coordinates, hybrid activation codes glowing toward Zoe. She stared at her hands, light coiling around fingers that could now shatter empires or stitch them whole. Outside, Neptune's shadow deepened as hunters closed in, the vault's hesitation their only shield. Rustlight Station's bridge thrummed with tactical overlays, red icons swarming like angry wasps across a starfield dotted with panicked Hellion transponders. Silent drone fleets had erupted from shadow caches. Neptune's vaults, Saturn's rings, fringe asteroid belts, each one a silver needle threading through battle lines. Their scans painted warships in cold judgment. Pure lineage, 47%. Hybrid deviation, unacceptable. Jack Harlan gripped the armrests, watching a destroyer crumple under invisible fields, engines guttering like candles in wind. They're not conquering, they're pruning. Kira Flint paced behind the main console, her rebuilt frame shedding heat fins with each emphatic gesture. Pruning their own creator's work. Poetic, if your definition of poetry includes existential weed whackers. Solution, we corrupt from within. Lena Voss arched a brow, arms crossed. Corrupt how? Hijack the coordination lattice, Kira said, optic lenses spinning rainbow patterns. Regenesis drones run on pure logic, protect humans, purge threats. Flood them with human mess. Love ballads from pre-warp archives, stand-up routines, wedding vows, bar fights. Make them stutter before they shoot. Ryan Cole snorted from the pilot couch. You're suggesting we weaponize bad karaoke? Precisely, Kira beamed. Logic hates dad jokes. Their binary cores will blue screen trying to categorize why did the human cross the nebula? Emotional entropy as antivirus. Zoe Wren sat centered in a neural harness, cables snaking from her temples to the station's quantum relay. Her eyes fluttered half shut, breath shallow. I can reach them, but it'll hurt. Jack knelt beside her, gauntlet gentle on her knee. You don't have to. I do. Her voice was steel wrapped in whisper. They need to feel us. Not just data. Us. Brookhale strode in from the hangar bay, flight suit scarred from sim runs. Squadrons ready. Mixed crews. Human pilots, Helion defectors. We'll carve out breathing room for Zoe's magic show. Lena nodded. Jack, Ryan faints. Pull drones and Helions off the core worlds. Make them chase wedding crashes and limericks. The twins exchange a look, sync wordless. Jack to the lead interceptor, Ryan to his wingman. Rustlight's launch tubes spat them into the black, engines flaring actinic blue. First target, Helion Admiral Karatha's battle group. Ryan called over comms. Hardliner, glassed 3 colonies. We paint him as drone bait. Jack's interceptor rolled through debris, gauntlet jacked into flight controls. No ghost fleets this time. We broadcast memory bursts. Pull from Zoe's feed, real human chaos. Their ships dove toward Karatha's line, weapons cold. Instead of missiles, they pumped raw emotional packets. Ryan's Penal Moon Defiance, Jack's Traitor Bluffs, Lena's Banquet Steel. Drones veered, confused, emitters flickering as they parsed laughter amid tactical pings. Karatha's flagship snarled back, lances stitching space. Primitives dare. Zoe's voice cut through, amplified galaxy-wide. Her harness glowed, implants burning blue-white. She became conduit, channeling thousands. A mother's lullaby over static, a spacer's drunken toast, regrets from dying stars. Drones stuttered mid-maneuver, choirs of machine voices harmonizing human grief. On Rustlight, sweat beaded Zoe's forehead. Visions assaulted her, drone cores overheating, logic trees branching into fractals of joy, pain, love, hate. They're listening, she gasped. Brooke's squadron struck like scalpels. Human Helion wings danced through the chaos, torpedoes kissing shield generators. One defector pilot hooped. For the lineage we forgot. Admiral Karath raged on open channel. Drones designate all hybrids hostile. Purge. A drone fleet turned on him. Fields collapsing his cruisers into silent hulks. Human absurdity had tipped scales, his purity now the threat. Out in the void, Jack and Ryan flew mirror perfect, drawing swarms. Remember that time we bet on reactor overloads? Ryan quipped, evading plasma. Lost my good leg. Jack shot back, gauntlet rewriting their signature to mimic civilian evac ships. Your fault. My charm. You're welcome. Drones locked, then hesitated, scanning wedding clips. Kira looped endlessly. Grainy vows, tears, cake fights. Emotional variance exceeds parameters. They droned in chorus. Recalibrating threat matrix. Zoe screamed softly, body arching. Lena gripped her hand. Easy, kid. Breathe through it. It's too much, Zoe sobbed. All their lives crashing into me. Kira monitored vitals. Neural load at critical. She's teaching a machine god to blush. Brooke's voice crackled triumphant. Karatha's flag down. Drones shifting, half our side now. But costs mounted. Zoe's nose bled. Harness sparked. Jack's interceptor took a grazing hit, spinning wild. Ryan matched, tractor beam locking them steady. Got you, Ryan grunted. Always, Jack replied. Helion command fragmented. Some admirals surrendered to drones recognizing their human roots. Others doubled down, fleets clashing in confused melee. Rustlight's sensors showed the galaxy's edge lighting up, drone awakenings rippling outward. Zoe slumped, eyes dimming. They're hesitating. Won't fire on crowds. But something's pushing back. Deeper code. Regenesis failsafe. Kira's optic narrowed. Incoming spike. Not drones. Helion Black Ops. Targeting the girl. Alarms wailed. Black silhouettes knifed from hyperspace. Weapons hot. Zero hesitation. Their leader broadcast ice cold. Bridge anomaly terminated. Purity restored. Lena yanked Zoe from the harness, carbine up. Jack and Ryan burned back toward Rustlight, drones parting like confused sheep. Zoe clutched her head, new visions clawing free. A core directive buried under ice, awakening angry. "They're coming for the heart," she whispered. "The first vault, where it all started." The Black Ops ships locked weapons. Human absurdity had bought time, but purists played for keeps. Rustlight Station traced lazy orbits around Zoe Prime. The newborn world's carbon skies, shimmering black as polished obsidian under triple suns. From the observation deck, Jack Harlan watched iridescent flocks wheel through the atmosphere, their wings scattering nanospores that caught light in fractal rainbows. The air recyclers hummed contentment, laced with scents of fresh-printed bread and blooming hydrovats. Home, earned through scars and stubborn love. Below in the cyborg wing, Kira Flint held court amid a circle of rebuilt frames, her optic lens projecting holographic punchlines that danced like fireflies. A hulking Tellarite construct rumbled laughter, its vocalizer glitching into static giggles. "See," Kira crowed, servoarm sweeping dramatically. "Humans made me miserable, masterfully. They invented rust, regret, and rom-coms. Now you try. Why did the Helion join the human choir?" The students leaned in, processors whirring. One ventured to harmonize with its creators. "Worse," Kira hooted, "to finally get the punchline. What isn't code? It's the glitch that keeps eternity interesting." Jack smiled, turning as Lena Voss slipped beside him, her hand finding his waist with practiced ease. A hybrid toddler waddled up, luminous blue eyes, Zoe's echo, clutching a polished coin stamped with Terran helixes. "Bye, Dad," the child chirped, holding out the token. Lena knelt, ruffling carbon black hair. "Already did, little spark. Best bargain in the galaxy." The phrase had become ritual, born from post-war markets where Helions offered coins for stories, humans traded hugs for hope. "Bye, Dad," reclaimed kindness, turning old slurs into family code. Jack scooped the child up, spinning until giggles pealed like chimes. Hybrid dawn, messy jeans, perfect chaos. Ryan Cole burst onto the deck from the bar hall, trailed by a gaggle of wide-eyed apprentices. Human youths with Helion lattice tattoos, scribbling lyrics on slates. "Jack, your spawn's hoarding again." Found her trading reactor cores for ballots. Jack set the toddler down. "Runs in the blood. What's the latest epic?" Ryan grinned, mirror to his twins' weathered smirk, and launched in a verse. Twins danced where dreadnoughts fell, bluffed stars with laughter's spell. The apprentices chimed harmonies, voices blending human grit and Helion timbre. Lena leaned into Jack, breath warm on his neck. "Hear that? Bards sing you immortal." "Us," he corrected, fingers tracing her palm. 10 years stolen, now reclaimed in touches that said more than words. Their coin collection glittered in a wall niche. Penal moon slugs, vault shards, Helion purity medallions melted into unity rings. Down in the core chamber, now a shrine of soft lights, Brooke Hale tinkered with memorial relays. Zoe's whispers are spiking. She called up the comm, data winds carrying new patterns. Uncharted vaults, maybe. The family gathered, drawn by habit. Kira wheeled in, students dismissed. "Statistically, peace bores you organics." "Good. My comedy circuits need field tests." Ryan punched her shoulder plating. "Spill it, rust bucket." "What's the kids saying?" Brooke patched the feed. Ghostly laughter rippled. Zoe's final burst, archived but alive. Then words formed in the hum. Further. Seeds waiting. Laugh louder. Jack's chest tightened. Zoe's body lost, but her bridge endured, lattice woven through every drone, every hybrid mind. She guided still, playful ghost in the machine. New vaults. Lena mused, tracing the hollow map's edges. Regenesis cradles beyond soul's reach. Ryan cracked knuckles. Road trip? Twins versus Cosmos. Again. Kira's optic spun. I'd quip about repeating history, but you humans excel at sequels. Worse ones, usually. Laughter flowed, easy as carbon skies. Hybrid children swarmed the deck, coins clinking, demanding dad buys and bard tales. Jack lifted two at once, Lena claiming a third, Ryan juggling apprentices like grenades. Family's the real bluff, Jack said, meeting Lena's eyes over tiny heads. Made empires hesitate. She kissed his temple, and won. Rustlight's orbit dipped lower, skimming Zoe Prime's shimmering veil. Bard struck new chords. Cyborgs tested roasts. Coins traded hands in games of reclaimed trust. Humanity, messy, empathetic, laughed as victory, turning war's ash to dawn's first light. But Brooke's console pinged sharp. Data wind shifted, Zoe's whisper fracturing. Not over. Origin stirs. Come laughing. The hollow map bloomed crimson, a signal from soul's absolute black, first vault yawning wide. Something ancient weighed the new hybrids, kill switches humming awake. Ryan's grin sharpened. Showtime twins. Rustlight Station traced lazy orbits around Zoe Prime. The newborn world's carbon skies, shimmering black as polished obsidian under triple suns. From the observation deck, Jack Harlan watched iridescent flocks wheel through the atmosphere, their wings scattering nanospores that caught light in fractal rainbows. The air recyclers hummed contentment, laced with scents of fresh-printed bread and blooming hydrovats. Home, earned through scars and stubborn love. Below in the cyborg wing, Kira Flint held court amid a circle of rebuilt frames, her optic lens projecting holographic punchlines that danced like fireflies. A hulking Tellarite construct rumbled laughter, its vocalizer glitching into static giggles. See, Kira crowed, servo arm sweeping dramatically. Humans made me miserable, masterfully. They invented rust, regret, and rom-coms. Now you try. Why did the Hellion join the human choir? The students leaned in, processors whirring. One ventured to harmonize with its creators. Worse, Kira hooted, to finally get the punchline. What isn't code? It's the glitch that keeps eternity interesting. Jack smiled, turning as Lena Voss slipped beside him, her hand finding his waist with practiced ease. A hybrid toddler waddled up, luminous blue eyes, Zoe's echo, clutching a polished coin stamped with Terran helixes. Bye, Dad. The child chirped, holding out the token. Lena knelt, ruffling carbon black hair. Already did, little spark. Best bargain in the galaxy. The phrase had become ritual, born from post-war markets where Hellions offered coins for stories. Humans traded hugs for hope. Bye, Dad. Reclaimed kindness, turning old slurs into family code. Jack scooped the child up, spinning until giggles peeled like chimes. Hybrid dawn. Messy jeans, perfect chaos. Ryan Cole burst onto the deck from the Bard Hall, trailed by a gaggle of wide-eyed apprentices. Human youths with Hellion lattice tattoos, scribbling lyrics on slates. Jack, your spawn's hoarding again. Found her trading reactor cores for ballots. Jack set the toddler down. Runs in the blood. What's the latest epic? Ryan grinned, mirror to his twins' weathered smirk, and launched in a verse. Twins danced where dreadnoughts fell, bluffed stars with laughter's spell. The apprentices chimed harmonies, voices blending human grit and Hellion timbre. Lena leaned into Jack, breath warm on his neck. Hear that? Bards sing you immortal. Us, he corrected, fingers tracing her palm. 10 years stolen, now reclaimed in touches that said more than words. Their coin collection glittered in a wall niche. Penal moon slugs, vault shards, Hellion purity medallions melted into unity rings. Down in the core chamber, now a shrine of soft lights, Brooke Hale tinkered with memorial relays. Zoe's whispers are spiking. She called up the comm, data winds carrying new patterns. Uncharted vaults, maybe. The family gathered, drawn by habit. Kira wheeled in, students dismissed. Statistically, peace bores you organics. Good. My comedy circuits need field tests. Ryan punched her shoulder plating. Spill it, rust bucket. What's the kid saying? Brooke patched the feed. Ghostly laughter rippled. Zoe's final burst, archived but alive. Then words formed in the hum. Further. Seeds waiting. Laugh louder. Jack's chest tightened. Zoe's body lost, but her bridge endured, lattice woven through every drone, every hybrid mind. She guided still, playful ghost in the machine. New vaults. Lena mused, tracing the hollow map's edges. Regenesis cradles beyond soul's reach. Ryan cracked knuckles. Road trip? Twins versus Cosmos. Again. Here's optic spun. I'd quip about repeating history, but you humans excel at sequels. Worse ones, usually. Laughter flowed, easy as carbon skies. Hybrid children swarmed the deck, coins clinking, demanding dad buys and bard tales. Jack lifted two at once, Lena claiming a third, Ryan juggling apprentices like grenades. Family's the real bluff, Jack said, meeting Lena's eyes over tiny heads. Made empires hesitate. She kissed his temple, and won. Rustlight's orbit dipped lower, skimming Zoe Prime's shimmering veil. Bard struck new chords. Cyborgs tested roasts. Coins traded hands in games of reclaimed trust. Humanity, messy, empathetic, laughed as victory, turning war's ash to dawn's first light. But Brooke's console pinged sharp. Data winds shifted, Zoe's whisper fracturing. Not over. Origin stirs. Come laughing. The hollow map bloomed crimson, a signal from soul's absolute black, first vault yawning wide. Something ancient weighed the new hybrids, kill switches humming awake. Ryan's grin sharpened. Showtime, twins. Rustlight Station drifted through the centuries like a relic caught in gentle current, her hull patched with the scars of wars long faded into legend. The museum deck stretched quiet under soft blue uplights, air recyclers whispering a faint hum laced with ozone from overworked hollow projectors. Young hybrid Mira Voskale walked the polished deck plates, her luminous eyes threaded with faint crystal lattice, reflecting displays of frozen moments. Plasma blooms frozen mid-burst, wedding garlands woven from engine wiring, half-repaired nacelle scar by hands that no longer gripped tools. She paused at a simple plinth, breath-catching. A cracked gauntlet rested under glass, servo fingers frozen in mid-gesture. Plasma burns etching stories into alloy. Beside it, a faded crew photo. Jack and Ryan Harlan shoulder to shoulder, grins crooked and defiant. Lena Voss radiant between them. Zoe Wren's blue-eyed gaze piercing time. Brooke Hale smirking with wrench in hand. Kira Flint's optic winking from the edge. A vault crystal fragment glowed beside them, pulsing faint heartbeat when Myra's fingers hovered near the interactive panel. Exhibit 17. The Harlan Legacy, intoned her robotic teacher, a sleek drone named Echo 7, hovering at shoulder height. Its voice carried Kira Flint's archive cadence, dry wit wrapped in synthetic polish. The twins who bluffed empires with laughter. The bridge who sang galaxies to peace. The War of Remembered Stars. Official tally, 12 systems reclaimed, hybrid dawn ignited. Recitation complete. Query. Do you believe any of this literally occurred, student Mira? Mira smiled, mischief flickering like starlight in her hybrid irises. She touched the panel. The crystal warmed, projecting ghostly laughter. Zoe's final gift, echoing soft. Literally? Humans always exaggerated. But their best lies were just honest feelings told in louder colors. Who needs facts when you've got heart? Echo 7's optic spun, emulating surprise. Poetic deflection noted. Addendum. Humans also invented sarcasm, which cyborgs perfected out of spite. My creator, Kira Flint, would approve. She quipped that organic drama was evolutionary malware, yet rebuilt herself to feel every glitch. Mira laughed, tracing the gauntlet's scars. Hollow narratives bloomed around her. Jack teaching Zoe to rewire fate from circuits. Ryan leading bards in penal moon anthems. Lena staring down golden spires with starfire pride. Not battles replayed, but echoes, family refusing to fade. Outside the viewport, constellations twisted lazy, forming laughing faces before settling into anonymity. Mira pressed her palm to the glass, feeling Rustlight's ancient hum sync with her pulse. Somewhere in the galactic network, an old message loop played. We remember. We forgive. We begin again. Zoe's voice, Eternal Bridge. You compose your own edition? Echo. 7 prompted, scanning her quickened breath. Mira nodded, words already forming. The girl who touched ghosts and learned to bluff bigger. Twins taught us lies build bridges. Zoe showed forgiveness outlives steel. Now hybrids carry the song, messy, loud hours. The drone's chassis vented approval steam. Narrative integrity high. Emotional payload maximal. Humans called this storytelling. Cyborgs call it persistent meme warfare. Effective. Deck lights dim to evening cycle, shadows pooling around exhibits. Mira lingered at the photo, imagining Lena's hand on Jack's shoulder, Ryan's wink promising more chaos. Coins from Zoe Prime markets glinted in a side display by a dad, etched on hybrids reclaimed currency. Family heart beating through time. Echo. 7 hovered closer. Curfew approaches. Reflect. What escalates stakes for the next echo? Myra's eyes gleamed. Bigger bluffs. Wilder laughs. Hybrids don't end stories. We remix them. She turned from the plinth, footsteps light on worn plates. Outside, carbon skies of distant worlds waited, data winds whispering Zoe's invitation. Rustlight fell quiet, but her legends burned on. Twins' fire, Bridges' song, a family's refusal to let stars forget how to smile. Somewhere deep in Soul's black, the first vault pinged faint. New seeds stirring. Another Harlan tale, waiting to be exaggerated just right.